All right, so let's start now by looking at the table. Remember, we had a value of 1.29. How do you read it? It's a Z value, so this is a Z column here. So you have to pick that value on this last column here. Okay, you have to go to the edge, okay, and then go and look for 1.2, because remember the value is 1.2. So look for 1.2 first. That is what I have circled there, 1.2. After you've gotten that 1.2, the next thing is read it to the right. So you pick that 1.2, and then that 0.9 continuation, you pick it at the top, 0.0, 0.1, 0.2, all the way up to 0.9. So this 0.9 is a continuation of the 1.2. So you are looking for 1.2 under 9. That's it. And so you take your eye and you go to this 1.2 and you start tracking until you get to what? 1.2 under 9. And that means that our answer that we are looking for all this while is this value here. Okay. That is 0.415. So what is that 0.415? What is that doing there? Well, according to what we are doing, okay, that 0.415 is going to be the area that is before the 6,000. So remember, we had this, okay, and what we have found, this 1.29 corresponds to the 6,000 yards. And we are looking for the area above it. But what we have gotten is the mean, the center to that. So the area we have found here is the 0.405. 4015. I just want to be sure that that's the exact value. So when you go there, you see it. That's a 0.4015. So what you're now going to do is to subtract that value from 0.5 to get the area that is above 6,000. So you take your calculator and then you do. So how you write it is now important. Okay, sometimes the way you write it can be slightly confusing. So the way you write it is going to be the probability that this X is above 6,000, okay, is the same as the probability that the Z is above 1.29, which is equal to 0.5 minus the 0.4015. And that will give you a final answer of, what does the calculator give you? So you take a calculator and then you do that. What does it give you? So you get 0.5 minus 0.4015. That is 0.0985. That is your answer. Someone is disturbing. Please unmute yourself. Okay. So that value is going to, when you multiply it by 100%, if you want to know the answer, okay, and that is approximately 9.85%. 9.85%, and that gives it. So what does that mean? In reality, what that means is that the probability of you getting demand to be more than 6,000 is quite slim. It's quite slim because the probability is just above, it's just about 9.85%. Yes, Princess.
Sir, please, I want to ask why you shaded the to the right. Why you shaded that side? Because when we get the figure, I don't know.
We shaded it because of the word exceed 6,000.
Exceeds. Okay.
It was above 6,000. That junction was a 6,000, but we are looking for exceed 6,000. So the exceed is any space above the 6,000.
Okay, thank you so much.
So when you draw it, you will see that this is how it was. Okay, it was exceed. The 4,200 is here, the sigma is there, but the area you're looking for exceeds 6,000. So you're looking for this area. But before you can get this area, okay, you need to have this area and subtract this very area from the half part, 0.5, and then you can now get this area. Okay. So once you use the z value, we got a 1.29. And then we read that 1.29 from the table, that gave us 0.4015. Now that you got a 0.4015, okay, we need to now go and look for the area that exceeds that. And the area that exceeds that, to get that, you need to subtract a 0.4015 from the 0.5. And that is what gave you the 0.095. So there's a 9.85% chance, probability, likelihood that sales will exceed 6,000. So we believe that sales is going to be more than 6,000. That's true, but the chances are slim based on this. The chances are not that big. Because remember, on average, we have been getting 4,200 on average. That's what we've been getting, 4,200 years. So to tell me that the sales is going to be more than 6,000, that is possible, but sometimes you got to take it with a pinch of salt. Let's go to the next one. The next part, okay? The next part of the question, okay, look at it here. It says that what is the probability that demand for carpet will be 5,000 yards or less? What is the probability that, if I was with you, I would have gone around to see how you draw that. What is the probability that demand for carpet will be 5,000 yards or less? How you draw that is very important. So let's see how we can do that. So first, we need to draw the mean and the standard deviation. Okay, and that is here. You got this, and then you draw a normal distribution curve. The normal distribution goes this way. We are told of the mean is 4,002. The standard deviation is still 1,004. And now we are being told about 5,000 yards or less. Is that going to be to the right of the mean or to the left of the mean? The number. Is it going to be to the right or to the left of the mean? Is that number to the right? Very good. So all you got to do is to go look for 5,000 to the right. So just indicate any point here and call it what? Call it 5,000. That's it. And it is one of the x's, 5,000. Now we are looking for 5,000 yards or less. So which area are we going to shade? Let me give some areas, A, B, and C. Which area are we going to shade? Which area are we going to shade? I'm getting interesting answers. 5,000 yards or less. It's quite strange, and some people change the answers all of a sudden. Okay, so most of you initially wrote B, but it's not B. Later on, most of you wrote A and B. So it is rather A and B, because remember, we are looking at 5,000 or less. 5,000 yards or less. Less means anything below 5,000. Remember, if this is 5,000, okay, and this is 4,002, then 3,000 will be somewhere here, then 2,000 will be somewhere, 1,000, and then on and on and on. So it's all the numbers below 5,000. That is what is asking. And so you got to shade this area. You got to actually shade this if it is on examination. If it's still on an examination, you still have to shade it. Shade this area. So this is the area we are looking for. Now, who can tell me, I'm going to unmute you, who can tell me how we could get this answer? How could we get this answer? How could we get this out? How would we have worked it? Because your capacity to tell me how you could, yes, Judith, unmute yourself and tell me.
Okay, please, I'm trying. So the area between 5,000 and 4,200, we may have to get that area and then add it to 0.5.
That's it. That's it. So we know that the A is already 0.5. So all we got to do is to find B area, add it to the 0.5, and that's it. That's it. So now we just have to find that area of B. And that area of B is to the right of the mean. So you just have to take the Z value. So you calculate the Z value, it will be X minus the mu over the sigma. We know the mu and the sigma. We know the X as well. We are told the X is 5,000. So how do you work it? It's going to be 5,000 minus the 4,200, which is the mean, over the standard deviation, which is 1,004. So you take your calculator and find the answer. What answer do you get? Familiarize yourself with the territory. Okay. What answer do you get? 0.57. Two decimal place, okay, always. So that will give you a value of 0.57. So now you got that Z value. What do? You go to your table and go and read that. So let's go to the table. And in this table, what are we going to read first? Who can walk me through it and finally even give me the answer? Who can walk us through it and then give the answer? Okay, Judith. Yeah, go ahead, Judith.
So we reached the 0.5 on the Z part of the table.
So 0.5, this is 0.5.
Yes, and then the other part is 0.07.
Okay, so I'll stop at what number? This is the whole area. Yeah, I know you can't see. I thought you had your own table. You didn't have your own table. You're only focusing on mine, eh? I posted the table.
Yeah, so you go to the 0.7 part. So the answer should be 0.2157.
Yeah, excellent. So you can see. Okay. So when you do that, you're going to be centered on this number here. Okay. I know I've shaded it a lot, but it is 0.2157. Okay. So that is the number that you get. For what? You get that number for the area B. That is the number that gives you B. Why does it give you B? Because you normally start from the center and move to the right. Okay. So what this whole thing means is that the probability, you have to now indicate. Now that you've gotten the B, you just have to add it to the 0.5. So you write this. Probability of X being less than 5,000 is the same as the probability of Z being less than 0.57. And this will be equal to the 0.5 that you had already, plus the area you just found, which is 0.21. What was the other one? 0.2157. Was that it? Who remembers? What was your final answer? 0.21 what? Okay, so 0.21 blah, 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 blah. And then eventually you sum it up and that should give you a 0.2157. And then that will give you 0.772. Okay. 72%. What does that mean? Who can interpret what this means? Who can interpret what this means? Because that will give me an idea that you are following. In English, what does this mean? Yes, Isaac.
It means that there's a 72% chance that sales will be less than 50,000, will be less than 5,000. Sorry.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. There is that 72% chance that in the upcoming week, demand for carpets is going to be less than 5,000. It's going to be 5,000 or less. It's going to be 5,000 or less. So if you are following these things, that's it. Now, this, let me just show you, by the way, all that we've done. Okay, it's here. That's it. That's it here. So that was the area we shaded. We calculated for the Z value. We added the 0.5 to this. We got a 71.7157, and we rounded it to 71%. Let's go to the next one. Okay, so I want you to look at this. Look at it. We're not going to calculate this. Okay, we are going to just draw, and then someone will explain to me how we will get this answer. So if you have to do this one, this next one, first remember the drawing. What is the probability that demand for carpet will be between 3,000 and 5,000 yards? That's the question. You do your normal distribution, always draw. You show your 4,200, you show your 1,400, and then we are told to indicate it. So what are we going to shade? Where are we going to demarcate? And where are we going to shade? Who can walk me through that? Yes, Princess.
So, please, since the mean is 4,200, to get the probability that the demand will be 3,000, it has to be from, I'll shade that part. Please shade and
Which part?
and then the left, from
The left.
left.
Okay, left.
So you shade the one going to the right after where you
And she shade this one.
and then 5,000 will be after the 4,200. Yes.
And then I'll shade what?
The middle of it, between 4,000 and 5,000. That's it.
All right, this one.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, that's it. So once you guys have mastered how to do the shading, you should be able to know. So the area you are looking for is between 3,000 and 5,000. Okay, now I want someone to walk me through how would we find the answer to this, the area, the probability. We're not going to calculate, but how would we go around it? What would you do to get it? What will you do? You tell me that you find this, you subtract this, you add this, you blah, 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 blah. That is what I mean. How will you find it? Yes, Isaac.
So please, I'm trying.
Yeah, go ahead.
First and foremost, I'll find the probability that the yards will be 3,000. So to the
let's assume that you found out to be B.
Yes, I'll find. So let's assume that the shaded area between 3,000 and 4,200. Call it A for me.
Okay.
And then from between 4,200 to 5,000, call it B for me.
Okay.
Perfect. So I will now find the area of A first. Should I work through the mathematics, or is it I should just go on?
Oh no, just tell me whether you subtract something or you will add something. That's all.
Okay, so I'll first find the area of A, then subtract it from 0.5. I'll put the answer down. Then find the area of B and subtract it from 0.5. Put the answer down. Then in summary, I'll add those two areas together to find the probability.
I get you. I get you. If you had done that, Let me go to Dorothy. Dorothy, go ahead.
I think I'll just use the same A and B, but I'll find the area under A and then find the area under B and I'll add them.
You're not subtract anything?
No.
Okay. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. So going back to your point, Isaac, when you found the area of A, you don't subtract it from 0.5. Because whatever you read on the table is going to give you the area here. And you just have to find that. Now let's do that because there's someone who asked a point here, how do you read? How do you read? So I'm just going to do one more reading. Okay. So the first area you are going to get, the first Z, if you should do 3,000 minus 4,200 over the 1,004. Okay. If you do that, try this. Okay. If you do that, this is what you get, by the way. You get, as for the 5,000, we did the 5,000 first. So if you do 5,000, it's going to be this. It's going to be Z equals to 5,000 minus 4,200. Okay. And when you do that and you read that, we already found that previously. If you go and read the 0.21, if you go and read the area below 5,000, you are going to get 0.2157. Somebody was asking, how do you read? Remember the value we had there was 0.57. So let's go and read for you to see. This is 0.5. So first you read 0.5. This is 0.5. Okay. That's 0.5. Then, having read the 0.5, you now go and then look for 0.5 under 7. And under 7 will be here. Okay. Under 7 will be on top of that. Let me just make this yellow. Okay. So this will be the under 7. That section, because this is 0.05, 0.06, 0.07, 0.08, 0.09. So that will be the under 7. So 0.5 under 7 will be 0.2157. Okay. I'm answering your question, Calvin Little. Okay, you were the one that asked that question. And once you do that, you put that value down. Okay, and that's the value we have here. We put it down. Then you go and do the 3,000. The 3,000 is 3,000 minus 4,200 over 1,400. That will give you negative 0.86. Now remember, the Z table in the middle is like a mirror. It's a mirror image. So whatever is on the left-hand side is the same thing that is on the right-hand side. In Z terms, not in numerical terms, but in Z terms. So in the terms of Z, we said that the center value is 0. So the Z value at the center is 0. So everything from 0 leftward is minus. Anything from 0 rightward is plus for Z. Okay. So whatever you are doing on the left is the same thing you are doing on the right, because they are all mirror. The center is a mirror. Okay. So whatever value you get, you just have to take away the minus. The minus doesn't mean anything. The minus will be useful in a later calculation. So once you get this value, okay, of negative 0.86, ignore the minus and go and read 0.8 under 6. When you go here and you go and read 0.8 under 6, what value do you get? I'm just showing you the table. What value do you get? 0.8 under 6. I know if I throw my things there, you will find the answer, but I want somebody to type me the answer if you are following me. What value do you get? 0.8 under 6. Okay, so I'm getting some very good answers. 0.3015. Okay. 0.30. So this is 0.8 under 6. This is where we stop. Okay. And you can see that the stoppage is right here, 0.3015. So you can see that value, 0.3015, 0.3015, and that is this value. So now that you've gotten the value, You know that that value is from the center. That's what you know, it's from the center. Okay. So when you go, you get that value, it's on the left of the mean. So you will now add it, just as he explained. You will now add that value to the one you had before. The one you had before was 0.2157. You add the two together. You don't subtract them from anything, because when you look at the graph carefully, the graph requires that you add them, and that will give you 52% on average, 52.1% on average. So the probability that carpet is going to be between 3,000 and 5,000 is 52%. Very good. Who can draw this for me? If you were to draw this and calculate, we're not going to calculate this, but if you were to do the probability that demand for carpet to be at least 2,000 yards, how will you work it? Who can raise a hand and tell me, how will you work it? If you were to do probability demand for carpet to be at least 2,000 yards. First, you need to learn how to shade it, right? 2,000 yards. Yes, Judith.
Okay, so at least 2,000 yards means that it's going to be 2,000 or more.
It's going to be
2,000 or more. So the area is going to be, so when you, after you've written your mean, that's the 4,200, and then the standard deviation, then you represent the 2,000 on the left side of the curve. Yes. So at least 2,000 means that from the, say the points between 2,000 and 4,200 is A, and then the other part of the curve is B.
B, you mean the left side here?
No, not that side. Where you
Then you have to shade all sides for us to know what you're dealing with.
Yes, so you shade the A parts.
Uh-huh.
And then you shade the parts after, so the other side of the curve from the right side from 4,200.
Now I'm trying to understand which part you're shading. Okay, let me help you with this shading thing. Let's call this A,
Yes,
let's call this B, let's call this C. Now go on.
Okay, so you shade B and C.
Okay, so you shade B and C. Then how do you work it?
Okay, so as for the C part, we know that it will be 0.5. So what we have to do is find B.
Mm-hmm.
So in trying to find in finding B, our X will be 2,000.
Our X will be
2,000.
So how do you work it? How do you work it? What plus what? What minus what? Okay, so let's move on. So you get Z equals to the 2,000 minus the 4,200 over the 1,004. You get a value. When you get that value, what do you do?
So when you get the Z value, then you check on the curve, on the table, sorry, to get the probability.
And then what do you do with that?
And then you add that answer to 0.5.
That's it. Well done. So that's it. That's how it's supposed to be. You add that answer to 0.5. So the value you're going to get is minus 1.57. Ignore the minus, deal with a 5, 1.5 under 7. Learn how to read the table. When you go here, 1.5 under 7 is on this table. 1.5 under 7. That will give you 0.4418. 1.5 under 7. Okay. So when you do that 0.4418, you now add that value to the 0.5, you get 94.2%. Okay. And that shows that at least 2,000, majority of the demand for carpets will be at least 2,000. Very good. You can do several other ones that are shown here. So just try to familiarize yourself with this and you will get it. Now let's go to the next point. If you have a question with all that we've done, let me know, because we are going to a situation which is a bit different. If you have a question on previously what we've done. Yes, Isaac.
Please, I want to find out that anytime we are calculating for the percentages, should it always be in whole number? There shouldn't be like a decimal. For instance, the one we just calculated, there's a likelihood that you could have calculated and got 94.2 because there is, when you multiply the figure that we got by 100, you are going to get 94.12. So are you going to run it to the nearest number? That is 94.
Always you are going to have in 2 decimal places before you use a percentage. You have 2 decimal places before you use a percentage. Okay, so let me give you an example. Still on that one that you were talking about. So we had what? 0.94. All right. So 0.94, that's your final answer, 0.94. So you can say that 94%.
Okay.
Yes,
okay.
0.94. 94%. Now, let's assume we calculated this negative 1.57 and you rather had negative 1.578. You have to convert it to 2 decimal places, which will be 1.58 before you go and read. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. Okay. If there's no other question, let's go to the next situation. So let me just recap what we have done so far, just to guide you in what we're about to do. This is what we have done. We have been given some X values. Okay. So far, what we've done is that we have been given some X values. And then we use these X values to standardize it in the Z value. So we get a standardized Z value for the X value. So if you have observed, when they say 6,000, we go and find its corresponding standardized Z value. Once we get the Z value, we use the Z value to find the probability. That's what we've been doing. And then we check whether it is below, it's above, it's between something and something, and all of that. That's it. That's all we've been doing. What if you have it the other way around? What if you have the p-value first, and you have to use the p-value to get a Z, and then you use the Z to rather get an S? In other words, what if you have the percentage first? Because I want you to know that the probability is still a percentage. Well, you can still find it using the Z value. Suppose you had a percentage first, okay? You can use that percentage value to get a Z on the table. And then this formula, you can use this formula to arrive finally at the X. What do I mean? What I mean is that suppose I give you a percentage value, say 30%. Of course, I would have to explain what that 30% means. That 30% is a probability. And this table here, let me just show you, the Z table, everything inside the table, not on the edges, those inside the entire swimming pool of the table, okay, the entire swimming pool here, this swimming pool of the table is all the percentages, all the probability. The edges are the Z value, the edges. This is the vertical edge, and then the horizontal edge, they are rather the Z value. So if I know a particular probability, okay, like this probability, I cannot trace that probability that I know. I can trace it to the left, okay, and find the corresponding Z, and then trace it to the top, and then find the corresponding Z. So if I get a percentage like 37 point something to 9%, I can say that that corresponds to a Z value of 1.1 under 4. So the value will be 1.14. If I have a percentage, and the percentage is 30.2%, 30.23%, I'll have to come and identify that 30.23% here. Then trace its Z value to be 0.8 under what number? Under 5. So the value is going to be 0.85. But I have to draw. And when you draw, where it is located will tell you whether it's on the left of the mean or on the right of the mean. Now, please listen. When, after you've drawn, the value is on the left of the mean, then you have to give it a negative value. Because remember, the Z correspondence of anything on the left of the mean is a negative. If it is on the right of the mean, it is a positive value. The best way to understand this is to take an example. But the key point I want you to know is that once you know there's X, you can find the Z. Once you know the Z, you can find the probability. And once you know the probability or a percentage, you can move backwards and find the X. Let's take an example. So in this example, and by the way, if you look at that Z, we can find X using change of subject. Okay. For example, if you know that Z is equal to X minus mu over sigma, if I want X, all I have to do is cross multiply. Okay. Cross multiply. If you cross multiply, you're going to get Z sigma equal to X minus mu. And if you want X, you just move the mu to the left-hand side. So you have Z sigma minus plus mu, okay, equal to X. And that's how you find X. So all you got to do is to find the Z and you will know X. As for the mean and the standard deviation, it's always given to you. Okay, so keep that in mind as we go through this simple example. Let's take an example. So in this example, you are told that suppose the price of waakye is normally distributed with a mean of 8 cedis and the standard deviation of 5 cedis. That's the first thing you want to draw. You want to draw showing the mean and then the standard deviation below it. So please work along with me. Don't get distracted at any point here, but this is where it is important you follow. So you go and draw your mean. Okay. So you draw your mean value here. Okay. You take your mean and then you draw. You are told that the mean is 8 cedis. So the mean price of waakye is 8 cedis. And you're also told that the standard deviation is 5. So let's put the 5 somewhere below on the side of it. So far, so good. The question says, what should the price be? Now remember, he had already told you that the price is normally distributed with a mean of 8. So if for him to ask you what should the price be, he's asking you of the value of X. Because he has given you the mu. That's right. He has given you the mu to be 8. He has given you the standard deviation to be 5. So he's asking you of the X. What should the price be? But with a condition. The condition is that so that only 20% of all prices are below this price. This is where it's interesting. Only 20% of all prices are below this price. Now, how do you handle that? So I'm looking for an X value. X value. Where am I looking for it? I'm looking for it under this whole thing, because the mean is the 8.5. I want a certain X value. I don't know what that X value. It can be below the 8, which is 6 cities. It can be below the 8, which is 3 cities. It can be above the 8, which is 9 cities or 12 cities. I don't know. But the condition is that 20% of all prices should be below that price I'm looking for. So if the price is above 8.5, 20% of the prices should be below that price. Now, how do you get 20%? 20% itself is an area. And the area is 100%, right? So if the area is 100%, then if we start from the bottom here, as we move to the right, we are increasing the percentage. I want to repeat. If we start from 0% down, as we move to the right, we are moving towards 100%. So where do you think 20% will be? Where do you think 20% will be? Will it be after the 8.5? Or it will be below the 8.5? I want you to just open. Remember, we are from 0 going to 100%. Where do you think 20% will be? I'm getting some answers already. Where do you think 20% will be? The 20%, all of you are right. The 20% is going to be below the 8.5. 50% will be at the 8.5, because remember, that's the mean. So if 20% will be below 8.5, all you got to do is to identify any point here. And when you have identified that vertical line, remember 20% is an area. So, and we are looking for below, watch this. We are looking for a price where 20% of all the prices are below. Below what? Below this price. Okay, so now I have identified the price, which is what? X. So this is my X I'm looking for. I don't know the value. I know that price. And according to them, 20% of the prices are below this price. So if 20% of the prices are below this price, which area are we looking at? Are we looking at area A, area B, or area C? Which one? That 20% of the price are below this price. This is A. You're all right. It's A. Because 20% of the prices are. Now, if we are looking for area B and C, he would have said that I want you to tell me the price where what do you call it? 80% of the prices are above this price. It's the same thing. So 20% of the prices are below this price is the same as 80% of the prices are above this price. Do you realize that? So this X value with the question mark, we don't know yet. Okay? This X value with the question mark. What we know is that 20% of the prices are below it, and 80% of the prices are above it. So we know that this area here in that corner, this area here is what? 20%, which is 0.2. Now watch it. If this area is 0.2, what is this area? What is this very area? What is this very area here? What is this area? Okay. What is this? If this is 0.2, if A is 0.2, what is the B area? The B area is what? 0.3, correct. And what will be the C area? That one, we know it already to be what? The C area is what? 0.5, exactly. So what we are looking for is this price. We are not looking for the 20% because they told us the 20%. But watch the movement. Watch the movement. You cannot get to this 20% unless you start from the middle. Do you remember I told you you always start from the mean and move to the left? or move to the right. So now that we are starting from them, we've got to move to the left. So you cannot get the 20% unless you have crossed which part? The 30% part. Is a 30% that you are looking for. Of course, the 20% helped you to know that you have to pass the 30%. You have to go from the center leftward. This 30% is the probability you have to go and read. So how do you read the 30%? Remember that this 30%, by the way, is to the left of the mean. And once it's to the left of the mean, whatever z value you get for it is going to be minus. Remember that this 30% is a probability, it's a percentage. So we are going to go to the table and read that. Read what? Read 0.3. So you go to the table, Z table. Now this time you're going to look for that number inside the pool. You're going to search for 0.3. You're going to look for a number closest to 0.3. So you don't look for the edges. You're looking for the entire swimming pool here. You can see 0.25 is here, that is here. So you've got to go down 0.3. There is a way you will see when you take your time and you look at this probability, you will see that they have been organized, in an ascending order from 0 going upward. So 0.3 is somewhere, but you might not get exactly 0.3. You will sometimes get two numbers, but you will have to take the one closest to 0.3. Please, have you found the two numbers? Don't worry, I don't want to delete what I have here. If I delete it, we'll not get it. Have you found the two numbers closest to 0.3? Not 0.31, 0.3, exactly 0.30000. There are two numbers closest to 0.3. Have you found the two numbers? Closest. You got to open your eye and look for the two numbers very carefully. And then we are going to select one. Okay. So now, what are the two numbers, Isaac?
0.2995 and 0.3023.
Good. So Isaac is saying that the two numbers that we have been looking for, these numbers are what you see here. Just watch, they are here. Okay, these two numbers, 0.2995 and 0.3023. The question is, which one is closest to 0.3? Isaac, can you tell me which one is closest to 0.3?
I will choose 0.3023. Okay. Because that's what I'll choose.
Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, one of the things you want to be careful of is how you select which one is the closest. And the only way you know which one is the closest is usually the one that is not having the 0.3. I want to repeat. The way you should know the closest number is usually the one that is rather not 0.3 something something. Is rather the one that is 0.2 something something. How do you know this? The only way you can tell by yourself mathematically is subtract 0.3 from each one of them and take the absolute value. Subtract 0.3 from each of the two numbers and take the absolute value. 0.3 minus 0.2995, it will give you 0.0005. Okay, that is what it will give you. 0.3. If you are dealing with 0.3 minus 0.3023, that will give you 0.0023. So whilst one of them is ending with 0.5, the other is ending with 23. So it means that the 0.2995 is rather closer to 0.3 than the 0.3025. If you don't understand, just use your calculator to guide you which one is the closest. All right. Now that you know that 0.2995 is the closest, how do you now find your z value? Well, it's very simple. To find your Z value, all you have to do is, and now that you know it is this, just trace the Z value leftward till you get to 0.8 and trace it upward till you get to 0.4. Therefore, our Z value for this is going to be what value? Remember where it is located. It's going to be what value? Most of you are writing plus 0.4. It's not plus 0.84. It's rather what? Minus 0.84. Why? Because it's on the left of the Z. Okay, so now let's go and use this into our formula. Okay, so you go into the formula, okay, and then you are going to substitute that value into Z. Now, how do we normally write a formula? In case you've forgotten, the formula is normally written as Z equal to X minus mu over sigma. And now we know the Z value to be what? Negative. So you have to write minus 0.84 equal to, you have to find your X. The X is what we are looking for. So you still write X. Then your mean. Your mean was given in the question as 8 cities, divided by your standard deviation, which was given as 5. At this stage, you can use change of subject to find the value. Multiply 5 by negative 0.845, and then group items. Okay. So when you take a calculator and then you multiply, I'm doing this one for you, so that's, but I know that you should be able to do it all by yourself. A 5 times negative 0.84 will give you, the left-hand side is going to give you negative 4.2, which will be equal to X minus 8. Okay. So you will now move the minus 8 to the left-hand side. So you are now going to get plus 8 minus 4.2 equal to X, which means that X is equal to 3 cities, 80 pesos. Now, we know that the value of X is 3 cities, 80 pesos. Does that make sense? Yes. You come to your graph and you can see that it's actually below the 8.5. Okay. Where you put that question mark of X here, you have confirmed that it is truly below 8.5. So it's actually, so this is how you demonstrate your actual value of the whole thing. And once you get that value, it means that you are good to confirm. So 20% of all the prices are below 3.85. Yes, Princess.
Yes. Oh. Sir.
Yes.
Please. I don't know where you got the 8.5. The 8.5, is it because of the mean and then the standard deviation above it, or that's also to be 8 plus 5, then you got the 8.5. 8.5. No, the standard deviation is 5, and then the mean is 8.
Yeah. And you
So,
say I got which one?
Like add it. I want to know how you got the 8.5. When you drew the diagram, there was an 8.5 there. Did you add the standard deviation and the mean together? And if yes, what's the explanation to that?
I don't know which diagram you're talking about. But the diagram I had, it was 8. It was 8 equals to a question mark.
Not this one. The other one, the one you drew yourself.
Okay, somebody should complete. Yeah, Rita. Hold on, I don't remember. Rita, your hand is up, Rita.
Sir, sorry. I'm still struggling to find out why we are dealing with the 30% but not the 20%, because the price is below the 20%. I don't quite understand it.
Okay, I'll come back to that.
Okay.
I just don't understand. Remember the Judith, your question, what is it? Princess, your question. Who can remind me of Princess' question?
Sir, please, the diagram you do yourself, the diagram you do, if you can go back to
I
that.
deleted it. That's what it is.
Okay, and that is, you got 8.
It was 8.5.
That's why I wanted the clarification. Fine. Okay. Because I wanted to know that if you are finding the mean, when it's divided, would you have to add the two together?
Somebody has answered
Because
you.
I saw
Chat.
that.
The person says it is
Yes,
8 to 5 different
it's
values.
okay.
Abdullah, what do you mean by is 8 and 5 different values? What do you mean? Can somebody who understands what she's saying unmute himself and explain to me?
I think what she's talking about is the price. The on the graph you drew, is it the median? The price you put there was 8.5, and then we worked towards the left-hand side where we found the 20%.
So
and then
if the price saw was 8.5, it was a typo. It's supposed to be 8.
Hello, Doc. That's what I'm saying. Because but you
didn't say it was supposed to be 8. You should say that the 8.5 that Doc wrote is supposed to be 8 and not 8.5.
Yes. Right. Doc, you made mention of that too. You made mention of that. It was the drawing. There was no space. So because there was no space, you try to squeeze the standard deviation and then the mean there. So that was why it was 8.5. But it's 8 and then 5. It was different values.
I get it now. Okay, one was the mean, one was the standard deviation. But if I write the standard deviation, it will enter into the sentence. So I had to write.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what she was asking.
Oh, but what this shows is that you got to be paying attention, isn't it?
Yes.
Me when I'm typing,
so
when I'm
different
writing.
values.
But if you don't follow me and you switch off, then you have to realize that some of these things were not sure. All right. Princess, I hope you understand your question.
Yes.
Now let me go back to.
Thank you.
So let me go back to Rita, your question. So Rita, you can lower your hand now since I'm about to answer your question. So your question is that you don't understand why we did not take the 20%, but rather took the 30%. And the reason is because we are not looking for the 20%. Watch what we are looking. It's been circled here. We are looking for a certain price. We don't know the price. And remember, this price is between the 20% and the 30%. This price is a gap between these two numbers, 20% and then 30%. So it's a price we are focusing on. And I did mention that anytime you are looking for a space, you have to read the space from left to right, if you can remember. I told you that you always start from the center. I said, always you start from the center and then you move to the left, or you start from the center and you move to the right. So if I know that here is 20%, but I'm not looking for the 20%, I'm looking for the line, the price that gave me the 20%. And I'm reading, I can start from the center and move to the left till I get to the 20%. If I move to the left, I had moved 30%. If you want to still use the 20%, no problem. You just have to subtract it from 0.5. And when you subtract it from 0.5 anyway, you will still get what? That same 30%. So it is the line we are interested in. The question is, how do I get this line? The 20% only helped me to draw a line. All right. But how do I get that price, that line? The question mark is get the price here for me. How do you get this price? The only way I can get this price is I should know the area. I can choose any of these areas. It's easier to use the 0.3 because the 0.3 is how we move. We normally move leftward. If it was something on the right, you have to take the area here, the one closer. Suppose there's a gap here. You still have to read this area before you come to this gap. But there's a situation where this gap will still be useful, but you will still read from the center area first before you get to outer the center area next. Rita, I hope, does that explain your question?
Yes, I now get it. Thank you.
Calvin, welcome. Calvin, ask your question. Unless yours is sorted as well. Calvin, your hand is up. Okay, Calvin is sorted. Judith.
My question is, if the question had been, if it's 30%,
okay,
would we have drawn or would have found the Z value for 20 instead?
Excellent. So if it had been 30%, that will be here. That will mean that this section, okay, will be 30%. That means that this section would be 30%. Okay. And then you would have found what, 20%, and rather go and read the 0.2 on the Z table. That is what it means. And then when you read the 0.2, you find the corresponding Z on the left, Z on the top. And then you can get your Z value. Now let me give you another question. Okay, still on this. Let me give you another question. Slightly different from this. Let's say that you have been told that what should the price be so that the top 10% of all prices are below this price? I want to repeat. What should the price be so that the top 10% of all prices, okay, no, what should the price be so that the top 10% of all prices are above this price? What should the price be so that the top 10% of all prices are above this price? Well, simple. All you got to do is to draw your thing, okay? Draw your Z value, show your thing, show your 8 cities. Below that is the standard deviation, 5 cities. Top 10%, will it be to the right or to the left of the 8? Top 10%. Will it be to the right or to the left?
To be to the right.
To be to the right, because top 10%. Top 10% is the same as 90% and below. So above 10%, top 10% are above. So once you write the 10%, this section here is the top 10%, 0.1. You see, he used the word above. But the thing is that before you get to that 10%, you have to cross how many percent from the center? Before you get the 10% above, you have to cross how many percent from the center?
90%.
Not really. I say from the center.
40%.
40%.
40%, yeah.
Always remember that whenever there is 60%, you have to throw away the 50% and handle the others. Whenever there is 70%, you throw away the 50 and handle the 20. Whenever there is 90, you throw away the 50 and then handle the 40. So the gap here is going to be 40%. 40%. Now, we are not interested in the 10%. We are interested in the price at that point there. And to get that price, all you have to do is to get that probability of 40%. So you have to go and read 0.4 on the table. Now, how do you read 0.4 on the table? We've learned it. Go into the table and search for the number closest to 0.4. And guess what? The number closest to 0.4 is going to be between 0.399 and 0.4015. Which one do you think is the closest? I've told you when you're not sure what to do, by the way. Which one is the closest? Which one is closest to 0.4? Okay, I'm getting some answers here. is 0.3997 according to Dorothy, and that's true. Okay. 0.3997 is closer to 0.4 than 0.4015. The 0.40 shouldn't have gotten 15. It should have gotten 00 for it to be exactly closer to 0.4. Now that you know is this 0.997, 3997, just trace that leftward. And the Z value is 1.2, and you trace it upward. And that is 8. So you're going to get 1.28. And then you ask yourself, is this to the right or to the left of the mean? 1.28. Is it to the right or to the left of the mean? When you check the graph, you will know. If you check the graph, everything we are doing, are we on the right or on the left? It's on the right. So since it's on the right, are we making it negative or positive? It's positive, exactly. And now that it's positive, you have to rewrite your whole equation again. So you write 1.28 positive, no minus, equal to x minus the mean, which is 8, over the standard deviation, which is 5. Then you find your value of x. When you find your value of x, it will by all means be greater than the 8, positive, which means that you are right. Now, what if the question had been, okay, 60%, no, let me do 70%, I want you to tell me a certain price, okay, and that price is 70% above, this is very tricky, that price is 70% above, no, I want you to tell me a price, okay, and that price, 70% of all the prices are above this price. 70%, let me write it down so that I don't get confused. 70% of all prices are above this price. 70% of all prices are above this price. How will you have worked it? How will you have even drawn it in the first place? 70% of all prices are above. Yeah, Judith.
Yes, I'm trying. So we know that the total. Okay, so first you draw your
Yes.
and then you put a mean in the middle.
Yes, that is done. 8 and 5.
So since we know that everything is 100%, the 70% would be the 50% after the 8 plus 20% before the mean 8. So the value.
Okay, hold on. I know what you're thinking, but I want you to look at the question again. The question says, look at it below. 70% of all prices are above this price. So I'm looking for a price. 70% of all prices are above this price.
Okay.
All prices.
So, okay. So I think it would rather be you subtract 30 from 50%. And then so that will represent the percentage on the left-hand side of the curve. Then when you find the value for that side, you add it to 50%.
Okay, so let me ask you. So in general, based on what you have said, what value are we going to read on the table?
So we are going to read the value for 30%.
30%. Okay, so she says we are going to read 30%, which is 0.3, and then match that with the Z. Okay. Now let's try to get it. The question is 70% of all prices are above. Now, if I put a certain price here, okay, all the prices above this one, are they 70%? No. If I put a price in the middle, all the prices above this middle value, are they 70%? No, they are 50%. 50% of the prices are above 8. If I put a price, a line here, can we say that 70% of the prices are above this price, yes. If I
Yes.
indicate that the value here is 20%, if I say the value here is 20%, then from that 20 all the way up is 70% of the prices, which is what? Which are above this question mark price. So when you have that, what it means is that you have to read the 20. You have to read this 20. And when you read this 20, you are going to, so you're going to read 0.2 and not reading 0.3. But if I had said that 70% of all the prices are below this price, watch that word, below. If 70% of all the prices are below, then you rather have to come here, okay, and then everything below is going to be 70%. And so your question mark price will be that, which means that you have to read what? If this is 70%, you are going to read what? 20%, the same thing. So in general, 70% of the prices are above this price is the same as 70% of the prices are below this price. It is how you understand, because it is the reading picture that will give you the best understanding. Now, that is a very technical way of putting the question. Otherwise, one way of saying some of these things is 10% of the prices, the top 10% of the prices are below, the top 5% of the prices are above, the top 20% of the prices are below, the top 30% of the prices are above, okay, and all of that. But I just wanted to know that you don't, what you are talking about is not for the price you are looking for, it's for the other prices above this price. So I am looking for a certain price, but the price I'm looking for, 80% of the prices are above this price. 80% of the prices are above this price. So even though you are starting from 0 to 100, watch the word, 80% of the prices are above this price. So it means that this price must be somewhere down here, and then you look for 80% going upward because of the above this price. And if that is the case, then that 80%, now you look for 50% of that, 50%, then we are left with 30%. So it's 30% you're going to read on the table. You are going to get more of this for you to familiarize yourself with. Okay? So when I give you, I'll give you some to, I've given you quite a number to work with. Go and familiarize yourself with this and work as many of them as you can. It will help you to get a bigger picture of everything. Now, this question that you see on your screen was just a past question. And I will encourage you to prepare yourself and look at it. It's very simple. Okay. Try it. And once you have completed it, you would know that it's simple, but it also requires you to think a little bit, smilingly think a little bit, and then you can work it. And I have several other sample questions for you to familiarize, about 7 questions for you to be solving your hands on. So go through it and solve your hands on them. Just work as many examples as you can. If you don't get it, let me know, and then we can solve it on the page. Ladies and gentlemen, any questions so far before we wrap up? Any question so far? Yeah, I can see that Dorothy and Co, you've gotten some of your answers already. Any question? All right, so that brings us to the end of binomial, Poisson, and normal distribution. That is the end of it. Okay. Go through it, work more examples. Example is more efficacious than precept. As you work more examples, you get a better understanding of everything. Keep working on your own rescue. Okay. Participate in it, because you are going to do well if you do.